Howdy peeps, so we're doing well. Right, so got my hood up, that means it's time for woo-woo stuff. Because I know you all like a bit of woo-woo stuff from time to time, even if you don't. You might deny it, but I know that secretly you're a bit sort of like, a bit curious. And there's nothing wrong with that. So, today, in fact, before I get started, I've just spent quite a while writing out. So 1, 2, 3, three and a half pages pretty much of learning more about myself. And first of all, before I get into this, I would like to thank Madeline from the Contemporary Tarot channel here on YouTube. Thank you, Madeline, for all that you have done for those of us with an interest in the tarot and getting a further understanding of it. So today I found a video called The Lifetime Tarot Card, and this might be something that some people might be able to relate to, maybe not. We'll see how it goes. And there was a little spooky thing that happened the other night actually. It's not, yeah, fuck it, spooky. So, as I will throw a link in the description because this isn't about taking the credit for someone else, hence I've thanked them at the beginning of this video. The Lifetime Tarot card will give you your personality card, which is your life's outer journey, like in this lifetime, and your soul card is your inner journey, that representative of your soul's journey within for all lifetimes. Now for me, I'll throw a link in the description for you guys so you can go over to Madeline's channel at the Contemporary Tarot channel. And if you're interested in this sort of thing, you guys can go and suss out your own personality card and soul card for yourself. So with me, it was the world. And I found it to be quite interesting because throughout my life, when I have met with other psychics and, well, not necessarily psychics, but other people that are also into the woo-woo stuff, right? They've said to me, oh, this is your last cycle in this lifetime, like this, and I've never really known what they actually meant. Well, today I finally did get the gist of it. I do excuse the phone going off in the background. I thought I had silenced it, but perhaps I hadn't. There we go. Perhaps, don't you know? Yeah. So yeah, it comes down to that thing of when you look at the sort of basic meaning of the tarot card of the world, the 21st one of the major arcana, it's the completing a goal or life lesson. Also represents emigration, travel, and more importantly, completion. I think Tarquin's dragging his suitcase down the road out there. Tarquin, yeah, don't you know? Yeah. Father, sorry. Father, can you pull up the Bentley? Don't you know? I needed to put my suitcase on wheels in the boot. Just get Jeeves to do it, thank you. I say Jeeves, me old chap. Sorry, I'm going to be taking this seriously, aren't I? You know, you've got to have a sense of humour about these things, right? Anyway, where was the bits that actually came out that it just narrowed it down? Right, so there you go. It's to do with celebrating your success and share your worldview with others and be comfortable amidst this wonderful life you have created. Now that's kind of what the channel has been about, I suppose, for better or for worse, wherever I've been in a pretty low place myself, and I've been sharing with you guys, and to understand a bit more about human psychology, like in the sense where I've said, oh yeah, men that go their own way, and the potential for the whole red pill philosophy thing being a coping mechanism, or something to get you through them sort of choppy waters of life after you go through a breakup, or maybe you were betrayed by a friend or a lover or whatever. you know, these have all been things that I've sort of talked about, and I think I mean, alright, you can't really compare me to every other human being that's out there, because we're all different and people do some pretty heinous things sometimes. There's been a few heinous things happening in the local areas surrounding where I live of recent. But that is them and I am me, and there's a big difference quite clearly between them and me. And I just sort of found it interesting because I then later went on to ask one of my friends. I said, "Oh, what's your birth date?" And so they gave me their full birth date. So you know you'll need the month, the year, and then the day that you were born. Anyway, so I did the maths and added it all up. And when I was doing a tarot reading for this person the other night, you know, I kept seeing them, like the magician came out in the reading, and I said, "Yeah, but this is you." And she's like, no, I'm not into that. I don't do that. That's not me. I'm like, no, but this, I get this strong feeling that this is actually you. Like, I couldn't quite explain it. And I didn't, like, she's like, no, I don't get involved in anything like that. It's like, she does what she does. And that's, you know, that's fine. But for her soul card was the first card in the Major Arcana, which is the Magician, which is someone that is focused on creativity and, you know, wanting to turn visions into a reality and has the inspired action to do so. But that was her soul card. Her actual personality card was the Wheel of Fortune, which is the 10th card of the Major Arcana, which represents, you could argue for ironically, good fortune, a turning point, luck, and luck in gambling and that kind of a thing. And with respect, I think given some of this person's experiences, you really probably wouldn't define it as being luck. At the same time, in a lot of cases, luck is what you make it. You know, sure, you can be lucky. You might walk down the road and find like a tenner or $10 or $10, whatever. You might find that on the ground and you might consider that luck. You could say it's just chance, right? And you could always, I mean, it's lucky for you. You found a tenner. You know, you found 10 notes. Somewhere, some unlucky bugger's lost 10 notes. You know, I'm just saying, you know. But the opportunity is there for good fortune, and it is down to us as individuals to take heed of these situations, whether it's friendships, romantic relationships, workplace colleagues, even jobs, you know, job offers and stuff like that. And it is down to us to make that decision as to whether the people that we surround ourselves with, whether they are friends, lovers, work colleagues, whether they're actually good for us, of beneficial value to us. And you could say, well, the people that some people surround themselves are bad luck. Well, it's not that they're bad luck, it's they're, generally speaking, probably low vibrational karmics, negative karmics, you know. And I've met quite a few of these type of people in my life, and you know, it takes a long time to realise the situation for what it is, because a lot of the time you don't want to believe it, you know, especially if you've been in sort of long-term friendships for anywhere from 3 years up, you know, where you've built up a rapport with them, you've built up trust and all of that. And then one day something happens and you see them for who they really are. And it's a devastating moment. You could argue for that's a tower moment, right? When you sort of, when someone pulls off the mask and reveals to them, to you, who they really are. And it's a devastating situation. But that isn't necessarily to do with luck. That's more to do with, I'm sorry to say it, poor judgment and not having healthy boundaries. But again, these are all a part of life that we all have to live through and experience and deal with accordingly. You know, at the same time, you don't want to go to the other extent where your boundaries are so damn high that no one's getting in. You know, we've all heard the expressions of, oh, I've put my walls up, you know, so that people can't get in. You know, it's just a, to quote Pink Floyd, you know, sometimes people would say, oh, with every failed relationship where they've been wronged, that is just another brick in the wall, so people can't get in to the inside of that person. Now, sometimes, you know, we go through phases, and this is what we do. That is also it's a natural coping and defense mechanism for our own feelings, for our own well-being. And this is where we're at, and like this is when I discovered about, like, for me, the world card being my personality card, and the Empress of all cards, the Empress being my soul card. Now, the Empress, I found something to be somewhat interesting. Generally, it's like creation, abundance, fertility, and good parenting. Well, maybe it's a thing of like making good decisions in my life, or being really lucky, or perhaps unlucky, depending how you want to see it. You know, and again, also creation, but creation doesn't necessarily mean, you know, creating a life with another, although pregnancy would. I'm just saying, because that's another sort of representation of the Empress, you know, fertility and good parenting. Again, not to say that in past relationships that I might have necessarily been the best, air quotes, father figure, role model. I think, given the circumstances, to cut myself a bit of slack here, I think for the most part I did as best as I could with the knowledge that I have. And for those that would like to jump up and say, well, if you're not a parent, if you haven't had your own kids, can I just like invite you to go and fucking go forth and multiply with yourself, right? I'm just saying. You know, this is a scenario where people, that oftentimes they do that, and it's sort of like, it's a very, coming from a place of pure ego. Oh, if you haven't done this, oh, well, if you haven't done that, and it's like, well, for starters, and this is why I'm kind of, it's not that I'm totally against, obviously with my previous video being that about, you know, single mums and the relationships you can find yourself in with single mothers. It's the fact that so much is expected and so little is given in return. You know, and I think where a lot of guys have given literally their all to some relationships, and then as a combination of maybe their poor judgment and their lack of boundaries, found themselves in a situation where they weren't appreciated. And then, you know, I mean, and like I always say, who suffers in that out of all people? It's always the kids. They suffer the most, especially when they grow a bond with the sort of step parent, be it a stepmom or a stepdad, right? And again, even with that, you know, with respect, some women really do build up a resentment towards stepkids, because it's the same thing. They know that the father of the child is not going to love the woman and put them first in that priority list. And I think this is sometimes something that a lot of women really do take personally. But when they do it, it's you know, it's that whole, you know, double standards. It's okay for them to have the ump and say bad things about, you know, single dads, where they do. I'm not saying everyone does, you know, but as soon as men start calling it out and be like, well, you know, this isn't quite an equal relationship, therefore I'm not totally happy, and it's like, why can't you meet me on a par sort of thing? Well, they can't. They just can't. Right? As has been said before, you can be a great parent and a mediocre lover at best, or you can be a great lover and a mediocre parent at best. You can find like a healthy balance somewhere in between, but I think for the majority of the time, for the way society has panned out, for the most part, it's just not possible. For the most part. Not saying in all circumstances, but this is just it. And for those, like I was, digressing back, for those that do jump up on that bandwagon, they're like, oh, well, if you haven't had your own kids, how can you give any advice on parenting? And it's like, well, we can only do what we can do. And I'm glad that it wasn't with the people that jump up and say, how can you say something like that? I mean, that would have been a fucking deal breaker from the get-go. Oh, I wouldn't have even entertained a drink with them. Do you know what I mean? So, but anyway, I just wanted to share with you guys about the soul card and the personality card regarding the tarot, because I found it to be really interesting. But yeah, anyway, thoughts, comments and opinions, feel free to jot them down as always, and I will leave a link in the description to Madeline's channel over at the Contemporary Tarot. So thank you all for listening, much appreciated. Like I say, thoughts, comments and opinions, feel free to jot them down as always, and until the next one, stay cool, stay free, peace out.